Hey guys, I'm just testing out the audio and the visual, so just let me know in the chat box if you can see me and if you can hear me. Just want to make sure everybody can see me and hear me. So excited! I'm so excited. Yay! This is so crazy. You guys are from everywhere. You're literally everywhere. If you're having any issues with seeing me or hearing me, make sure that you don't have any other programs running in the background. The most up-to-date version of the internet is probably the best way to get the best quality. I recommend having this on a computer if you're having any technical difficulties. But I just want to make sure you can see me and you can hear me before I just start digging into material. Let's see, make sure you can see me and you can hear me. All good? Might be a slight delay for some of you. There will be a replay to this though, so if you have any technical difficulties and you cannot get me on the screen, you can't hear me, you will get the replay afterwards, so you will be able to see everything as if it was happening live. So you won't miss out on anything, I promise you. Awesome. Just gonna make sure everybody can see me and hear me before we get started. You guys are so awesome. This is so crazy. I'm like freaking out that you guys are from everywhere right now. Are you having a good night? I hope you're having a good night. Oh my gosh, this is wild. There's so many of you in here. There's never been this many. Okay, everybody's good. Okay, we're just gonna let it go for one more minute and we are gonna dig in. Awesome. All good. Yes, Jana. I was praying, saying a little prayer that it was gonna be good for you. Okay. Ellen finished her finals 3 hours ago. Everybody, congratulations to Ellen. I know, it's past your bedtime, Nikki. It's past my bedtime too. I picked 9:30 just because I wanted a time zone that was most friendly with most people. So 9:30 on Eastern time zone is, you know, it's a little bit late. We could go to bed. But like on the Pacific Standard Time Zone, it is 6:30. So I figured it was kind of a win-win. I'm sorry if anybody is up at 2 a.m. right now and freaking out. You can go to bed and watch the replay later if you want. But I'm so pumped to be here. You know, this is something that became a brainchild of mine like 3 weeks ago. And I'm the biggest advocate for, like, if you have a gut feeling you're supposed to do something, then you plow forward and you start doing it and you put the pieces together as you go. And so I put this idea out there in the world of something called CRAVING series, and how I have been in the creative circle for the last 5 years and have learned a ton. And I've had a lot of people build me up with encouragement in terms of starting a business or running a business or sustaining a business, or being good at your job or being a good steward in your role. But what I realized is like missing is this delicate balance that we have between excelling in our careers and excelling in our personal lives. And unfortunately, one usually gets the shaft, and a lot of times it's our personal lives. A lot of times it's our relationships that suffer. It is our health that suffers in the quest to be successful. If I could save anybody from that journey that I went on, I would have learned balance up front. I would have been, I just would have been a better steward with what I'd been given in terms of health and relationship, and not just in terms of my success. I thought success was everything for a really long while, and it turns out that it's not. That to live a balanced life, you have to be pouring into every aspect of what is on your plate and stewarding each one well. Just because we're called to be stewards doesn't mean that we're just stewards in our jobs. We're stewards to the people we love. We're stewards to the faith that we have. We are stewards to the bodies that we keep. And so I figured in order to start off this CRAVING series, the best thing that I could possibly do is have the first CRAVING series be on balance. it just seemed like a fitting topic. It's hard lessons that I've learned, and I'm so excited that it was so well received by you guys in the community. You're awesome. I'm pumped. I was like, I'm just gonna come with like my hair exactly how it looked for the whole day and no makeup left on my face, and I'm not gonna wear lipstick. I'm not gonna do any of the typical stuff because like I just worked a really long day and I wanted to just come as I was. I'm tired of feeling like I need to be perfect for the internet or feeling like I need to be perfect for anyone in this world. Perfection is a myth. And if we can squash that little by little and we can have honesty hours with one another, like that's my favorite thing. And that's what I wanted to do tonight. So I just wanted to come bare, have an honesty hour with you, have a coffee chat with you guys, keep it real. And yeah, just dig into it. And so these are going to be monthly talks, hopefully on Mondays, since Mondays are really hard. I'm going to send out a survey at the end of the webinar when the question and answer section comes on. And I would really, really love if you guys could fill out the question and answer. If you could help me with some feedback, that would just mean the world to me. The other thing I'm not going to do in this, which I usually do, is have a presentation. I don't want to have a presentation. I want to have a face-to-face conversation with you. And so we're going to be hitting a lot of points. So I hope you're ready to take some notes, but I don't want my face to be hidden the whole entire time that I'm talking. I want to act like we're chilling on my IKEA couch right now. And so if that sounds good to you, then that sounds good to me. You guys have a chat box that you're already using like bosses, but it also has a question and answer ability. So at any point, if you have questions that you want me to answer in the question and answer section, just pop it into the question and answer section of that chat box, and we will dig into that at the end. Or when the question and answer section starts, you guys can just pop your questions in. Okay, so that's kind of the logistics of everything. I want to dig right in because it's late and time is of the essence, and we could probably stay here all night, and we might stay here all night, but you guys will get a replay anyway if you want to go to sleep. So I'm going to start with a really quick story. Anybody that knows me knows I love stories, and it's the best way that I get deep into my material. And this is a story that I share in a lot of my online classes. So if you've heard it, I'm sorry, but it's just kind of pivotal to my life right now. So about a little bit over a year ago, went camping with my friend Nia for the first time in Georgia. Now, the thing that you need to know about me and camping is that I don't really know that much about camping, and we really weren't prepared for it. We had like chips and salsa, and we had a tent that I swear was from like World War II. I'm not sure. It was not a typical tent, and it was very small and tiny. We had a baggie full of lint that we thought we were going to use to start a fire. And we just were like, we're just going to show up and we're going to camp. We have one headlamp, we're going to camp. We got too distracted on our journey on the way to the campsite. And so by the time we got to the campsite, it was dark outside. And we're like, we have one headlamp. How are we going to set up camp? We don't even know how to start a fire. So how do you start a fire in the dark? And we bring our stuff out to the campsite. We go back to the car, we come back, and there is a Maglite flashlight sitting in the middle of our campground. And so this is the moment where I'm thinking, we're going to die. This is how every serial killer TV series starts, with a flashlight sitting in the middle of the campground, and the killers have lured the young women into the campsite. And I was freaking out. Like, we can't stay here. There's a flashlight. We have to go. Come to find out, the flashlight was left by our very friendly neighbor that was right across the way. He was a young man. He had 2 first names, and so I determined he was probably somebody from Touched by an Angel. Angels always have 2 first names. I don't know if that's something I made up or something I thought was always a thing. I used to watch Touched by an Angel, and I swear they always had like 2 first names, like John Andrew, you know? So this was like John Andrew, the angel that showed up and basically helped us to build a fire. Like, he helped us set up our camp. He built the fire for us. Later in the night, he invited us over to his campfire. And then the next morning, he built a fire again for us. And then he packed up his stuff and he left. Now, we froze throughout that whole entire night. It was very, very cold in Georgia. I understand what it felt like to be on the Titanic in that moment, because it was freezing. And when he left, we just had this like epiphany moment where we're like, we don't know how to build a fire. Like, we never asked him to build a fire for us. We never figured that out. And so like, what do we do? We had no idea. And that was the moment where I knew that like the work that I was doing just had shifted for me. Maybe not in that exact moment, but as I talk now, that's the pivotal moment for me, that I realize that we are living in an age where people are so good at going to other people's fires to get warmth, to get shelter, whatever they need, inspiration, fuel. It's really easy to flock around somebody's fire. Like even tonight, you guys are kind of coming and sitting around my campfire. Now, my goal in these Craving Series talks and in everything that I do is not that you guys would just come back to my fire over and over and over again, but that you would be equipped and that you guys would know how to start your own fires. The world doesn't need one fire. The world needs fires all over the place and in all different areas. And I need to be able to go to your fire and your fire and your fire. And the world needs a lot of light right now. And so my goal in these talks is that you guys would feel like you could build your own fires, like that you could plow out into the world and help somebody else build a fire instead of just one fire constantly going. And so that's kind of the heart behind and the goal behind the Craving Series, hashtag Craving Series. My goal is that you would not need your fire. You would not need my fire. You would start your own. That is my hope for you. That is my prayer for you. And we are just going to dig in with balance. So let's just get down to it. Let's just talk it out. Why balance? Why is that the first thing that I thought to get into? I told you guys that this was really a struggle for me for a really long time. If I'm being honest, I didn't have a sense of balance. I had a sense of career and I had a sense of purpose on my life. And I thought that God was going to use me for big things. And I watched God do big things in my life. But all of my eggs were going in the career basket. That's where I was focused. That's where I was centered. It was I doing a good job? Were people proud of me? Was I getting approval from other people? And I don't mean that in a malicious, self-centered way. It naturally became that way. It started with a little bit and then a little bit more and then a little bit more. And I think it happens a lot in social media and we don't even see it. And we don't even pay attention to it because of the fact that it's just so normal for us to be sharing all of our lives with the world outside that we forget to see, that we start to in the process kind of worship ourselves and worship the job that we're doing. And so everything came back to career. And I know that a few of the girls from my team are listening to this webinar series today. And they know, I didn't sleep. I didn't really have a social life. I was just focused on how can I be the best in this arena. And it's great to be ambitious and it's great to be a go-getter, but other things will suffer if we cannot make priorities. If we cannot find a way to split up our priorities, something is going to slip to the back burner and something is going to break and fall apart. And rebuilding something after it breaks is so much harder to do than giving something a tone up in the middle of the process. And so balance for me really wasn't an easy thing. And I remember that I just kept thinking, if I can just get the next thing and just get the next thing and just get the next thing, then I'm going to reach a point of contentment. Then I'm going to be able to do all the things. Preach to me or send a comment in the comment box if you are a chronic, I must do all the things type person. I want to know that I'm not alone in that. But this I can do all the things mentality just really messed with me. It really made it hard for me to be in functioning dating relationships. It made it hard for me to go out to dinner with a man and not talk about my career and only my career, which made me way unrelatable to guys. Guys actually don't want to talk 24/7 about your career and only your career. You should ask them questions every once in a while. I was really bad at that. And so I was living in Connecticut at the time. And I remember sitting with one of my best friends, Tiffany, and I just was like, Tiffany, I'm not happy. Nothing about this life that I'm living is making me happy. And that's really sad because no one on the internet would have ever thought that I wasn't happy. I was tired. I wasn't putting my health first. I wasn't fostering good relationships. All of my relationships in a lot of ways were disposable. And I hate saying that because I would never throw somebody out intentionally, but it was an inconvenience if somebody needed me to show up. And it was an inconvenience if I couldn't show up to a coffee date and just dazzle people with being there. It was an inconvenience to do daily life with people because no one had ever taught me how to walk in daily life with people. And so I suffered for that, and I didn't know for a long time that I had suffered with that. And I told Tiffany, I am really unhappy, and I think that the solution is going to be geography. I think that if I move to Georgia, I'm going to live a better life. And so I made this plan, and I decided in October of that year that I was going to move to Georgia in 6 months. And that became my next thing. That was the next thing that I was going to get to, and no one had to worry about me. I had it all figured out. I was going to do it all. That didn't work. Geography doesn't change anything. Like, geography is not going to fix all your problems for you. But I do have to tell you guys that, like, right after I told my friend Tiffany that I wasn't happy and that I wanted to make a change and that I wouldn't even want to date somebody being this type of person because I wouldn't even know what I would add to a relationship, I met somebody. And I started to get into a relationship with this person. And I thought, I could marry this person. Like, this is somebody that I could marry and I could have a life with him. And he had this small life that I admired so much. I was so hungry for this small life. We're going to make a food analogy, but whatever. There's going to be lots of food analogies because I love food analogies. But just because you see someone eating, let's say, a turkey burger and kale, and you think that looks so good, I want to eat the turkey burger and kale. If your palate is not trained for turkey burgers and kale, it's not going to taste that good to you. Like, it is a matter of training yourself to get to the point where you can have the turkey burger and kale. I wanted his turkey burger and kale, not in some weird, I'm not trying to make some weird joke about that. I just wanted his turkey burger and kale. I wanted his small life. And I didn't know how to get that small life, though. Just because I wanted it didn't mean that I was ready for it. Just because you want something doesn't mean you're ready for it. And we dated for several months, and I tried to make it fit. I really tried to make it fit. And things broke, and they fell apart. And I said, well, the one thing that's been on my plate that is not going anywhere is Georgia. And so I'm still going to go to Georgia. And right before I moved to Georgia, 2 months before I went to Georgia, I went to a conference called Making Things Happen. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this conference with Emily Lay and Laura Casey, but this is a beautiful conference. I recommend it to everyone. But in the first day, at the end of the day, they made us find a spot in the room, lay down, and envision the life that we wanted to have. And I'm going to admit it, I love Laura to death. She's a great friend of mine. But I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this exercise. This is going to be corny, and I'm not going to be able to do it, and I'm not going to envision anything. And I'm laying there on the floor, and I'll literally just start bawling my eyes out. The second I started to envision something, I just started bawling my eyes out. And I think everybody else was like, I'm envisioning a white picket fence and a happy life. And then they hear me ugly crying and sobbing next to them. And I'm like, oh, it literally sounded like a dying seal. Because what I envisioned was something that I'd had a month earlier. I pictured me and somebody sitting on a countertop, and it was quiet, and there were Christmas lights hanging. And we were just sitting there. And we were listening to music, and it was this small little house that we were inside of, and it was just him and I, and it was enough for me. And then I remember people coming into the room and being around us and surrounding us, even though we were sitting on the countertop. And it drew me back to a moment that I'd had a month earlier with this guy that I was dating. And I remember we sat on his countertop after we'd made a dinner and we'd had that kale. And my favorite song came on the Pandora station, and I said, this is my favorite song. And he didn't say anything after that. He just listened to the entire song with me and didn't say a word. And I remember thinking in that moment, man, I want to fall in love with somebody who knows that when it's my favorite song, I don't want to say a word. I just want to try my best to live inside of those words. And so I'm sitting there, ugly crying on the floor, because I realized I had exactly what I wanted. I thought that I envisioned a life that was going to be big, and it was going to be grand, and it was going to be huge, and it was going to be jet setting. And when I got down to the honesty and the bare bones of me, it was a simple, small life that I had given up. Now I want to say I don't miss this man. I don't think that I was meant to be with him. I am with a wonderful, wonderful stud of a man. And I can't imagine my life being with anybody else, but I saw something in that man's life that I wanted, and I was not ready for it yet. And I remember thinking, man, it's going to take me forever to build up after the damage I've done. I've pushed people away. I don't know how to value people. I don't know how to be real with people. I don't know who's even going to come over to the house to surround me. Like, I remember thinking it's going to take me years to undo the damage that I've done in putting my career before everything else in my life. Guys, I'm going to tell you, it is 2 years later. Today is the 2-year anniversary of when I moved to Georgia, which is kind of weird and serendipitous and a little bit freaky. And it didn't take me years to rebuild that. I am at a spot where I finally have balance. I finally have that small life that I've always wanted. And it probably took me a year, maybe a year and a half to achieve it. And now it's just a matter of refining it and giving it the tune-ups that it needs. And that's what I want for you. I want that for you. And so my first message before I just dig right in and we go rapid fire on balance is that you're not too far. Like, you are never too far to come back. And that is not my message. That is definitely my preacher's message, Louis Giglio. But he always talks about the comeback, and you're not too far to come back. That's the thing. Like, if you felt like, man, I've made a lot of mistakes and there's a lot of things I wish I'd done differently, you get to come back today. You get to come back tonight. No one is going to stop you from that. The only thing that is going to stop you from that is you. It's going to be you and the lies you tell yourself and the things that you say you are not worthy of. And if I could take every person and shake them and just say, you are worthy of things you can't even imagine, I promise you that. Like, you are worthy of things that you are just, I get so fired up about it. And like, it makes me want to cry because I spent so many years thinking that I wasn't worth the good things and I wasn't worth the valuable things. And that if that person was going to live a small life before me and that person was going to get everything that I ever wanted because I didn't actually deserve it. And so if I could make a point tonight before I just get into that, it's that you're not too far. You could start over tonight. You really could. I can't tell you that tomorrow it's going to look different. It might look a little bit different. We might take a baby step, but you can start the process. You can start mile 1 tonight if you want to. Like, we're at mile 1 and it's time to train. The first thing that you have to do before anything else is you have to stop sleeping with those liars. I always lead with that point because it doesn't matter if we're doing writing, if we're doing balance, if we're doing relationships, it doesn't matter. We have to stop going to bed every single night with lies that tell us on repeat that we're never going to have it, that it's just too far, that you can't come back from this, that you can't actually have balance. The lies want to camp out in your brain and tell you all the things that you can't have. And they'll stop you from things. They will stop you from running the marathon. They will stop you from writing the book. They will stop you from going out on the first date. Amanda says the ugly crying has started. I'm sorry, Amanda. Grab some tissues. I always make so much mention of the lies because I'm so sick of living in a world where we don't talk about fear. We talk about fear as if we can punch it in the face, and we have to acknowledge that sometimes fear puts us in a chokehold and we're pinned to the ground, and we still have to know how to get up from that. Sometimes it's not a matter of just punching fear in the face. It is a matter of, how do I manipulate my fear? How do I beat down my fear? How do I win the war on fear instead of just the battle that happened yesterday? I don't want to win one battle. I want to win a battle every single day. And so we have to stop sleeping with the liars. I would tell all of you, when you guys leave tonight, like, write down the lies that are standing in your way. Like, what are the things you've been telling yourself on repeat that make you feel like you aren't worth a life of balance, that you're not worth the relationship, that you're not worth the health journey? I don't mean to be preaching right now, man, but I get into this. Like, I just get passionate. And the reason I get passionate is because, like, so much life got stolen from me in the balance of this. So much life that I could be living. I have a print in back of me, and you can't see it right now. But it says, it's a Sia quote, and I love Sia. And Sia is just like, she's a disciple to me. She's not really a disciple, but Jesus would have hung out with her. But so there's a quote behind me, and it just says, I want my life so bad, I'm doing everything I can. And that was just my mantra for so long. I want my life so bad, I am doing everything I can. And maybe that's you tonight. And I'm going to say, you're not alone in the fight for it. You are not alone, and you are not wrong to fight back and get back a life that you want to be living. So the next thing that I'm going to say is that we have to define what balance looks like for us. You have to define it, because balance for me is going to look a lot different than you. We all have different ways and different grooves of what we think balance is. For some people, that's waking up at 7 a.m. For some people, that's 5:30 a.m. For other people, that is shutting off at a decent hour and going home to your kids. But we need to be really clear on like, what does balance mean to you? And so I would encourage you to make a list of what it means to you. I made my list and I wrote at the top of it, be real, because I don't need fluff and I don't need it to be perfect. But even if you make a list after this class and you put it on Instagram and you tag me or you put hashtag craving series, I would love to see your list. I would love to see what matters and what is important to you. But so I'm going to read my list to you guys of the balance that I've wanted and craved in my life and what I'm working towards. These are goals. 1, rises early to be a dedicated steward to what I've been given. I want to get up early and I want to be the best steward that I can to everything that I've been given. That's not just career. That's also my relationships. That's my health. That's my body. It's all of it. Somebody who is not competitive. I am too much in the realm of improving myself and getting better in my craft to notice the other people around me. That doesn't mean that I don't focus on other people around me in the sense that I shoulder other people's burdens or I show up for people and try my best to help them. But I don't want to be spending my day comparing and competing. Like, what a dry and lifeless day if all I've managed to do is compare and compete with other people. I want to be too much in improving my own element that I can't even see the things outside of me, that I'm just in it. Like, I'm in the fight and I'm training. Somebody who takes care of her body through prepared meals and exercise that brings me joy. I don't want to do exercise programs I don't like. I don't want to do insanity. Insanity to me is what I envision hell would look like. And I tried for so long to lie and say that I loved insanity. I don't love insanity. I'm sorry, Shanti. I love that it works for you. It doesn't work for me. To me, I like a bar class. I like to lift on my own. I like to do anything where I don't have to jump up and down. Gosh, I hate jumping up and down. It's not fun for me. But I had to get real with that. Of like, do what you want to do. Stop doing the things that other people are doing that's working for them. Like, try things out, yes. But then be like, you know what? If I know that bar class works for me, then I should make the investment in bar class instead of always looking for something to fill the hole that's already been filled. If you know what works for you, go back to it. Yeah, somebody said burpees. I hate burpees. I think that they're of the devil. Like, they are like Satan's exercise. I hate burpees. What I said here, though, is I take care of my body through prepared meals, knowing that I'm at a time in my life where I want to exercise, yes, and I'm dedicated to exercise, but I'm not going to exercise 6 days a week. I used to do that, and it didn't work for this time of life that I'm in. But prepared meals is something that I can do every single week. And so the majority of my health is going to come from prepared meals as opposed to always making sure I hit the gym. Now, there are other people that hit the gym 6 days a week and then they get to eat Big Macs, and I'm jealous of those people. But for me, I know that the greatest health benefits for me come through prepared meals. Somebody who remembers birthdays and makes people feel seen. Really, I just want to love the people in my corner. I want to do so well at loving the people in my corner that, like, it doesn't matter like what happens on the internet or what happens when I go to a speaking engagement. When I'm there, and I want to be there. I don't want to miss the important things, the monumental things, the birthdays. I don't want to be the person that it's like, well, it was my birthday and you never said anything about it. That hurts. You want somebody to remember your birthday. And so I want to be that person that remembers birthdays. And I'm not perfect at that. And I'm really trying. And I'm trying to be the one that sends cards. And I haven't evolved to that yet. But I know what I'm working towards, at least. Somebody who works hard and splits time between creating, innovating, and building. I want to create beautiful things. I want to be innovative in my craft and in my field. I want to be on top of my A game because I'm a firm believer in, if you're going to do it well and do it with excellence. But I also want to be somebody who builds up my team and builds up the people around me and invests in them more than I am just investing in myself and growing. Somebody who knows her stuff. This is a personal goal for me. Like, I want to know about the news. I want to know who's running for president. It like dawned on me last month. I'm like, I don't even know who's running for president. I thought Trump was a joke this whole time. Read the news, Hannah. Read the news. And if you don't like reading the news, read the skim. Read the skim, guys. You will learn about the news. And I just wanted to be somebody who just knew what was going on in the world. I wanted to watch documentaries. I wanted to listen to podcasts. And that's just been a part of my journey, is that, like, I love knowledge. So why am I not feeding more on it? Why am I not plugging into a podcast rather than scrolling aimlessly through Instagram and never really even being impacted by the stuff that I'm seeing? It is minor tweaks and changes that could be helping me live a much better life. Number 6, someone who walks her faith and does not talk it. I do not want to be somebody who just talks about faith and talks about religion. I want to be somebody who walks it out. That even if I never came to you and said I believed in God, you would be able to see the way I live and you would be able to say, there is something different about her. I want to be a prayer warrior. I don't want to be the type of person that just says, I'll pray for you, and then I never actually pray for them. I've done that before, but like, I want to believe that prayer actually changes things. And so that is a part of my journey to be a balanced individual. And the last one, fosters uncluttered and safe spaces. So I want to live a life that is uncluttered. Anybody that's close to me knows that I love minimalism, though I'm not there yet, but I love it and I love the idea of it. But I also want to foster safe places for people to be in. I want my office to be a place where people feel like they could step in, we could close the door, and we could talk about life. We could talk about faith. We could talk about heartbreak. We could talk about anything. And I want to create those safe spaces wherever I go. And so that is my list. And I would love to see your list. But I keep this around so that I can see it, so that I can know what I'm working towards. Like, what are your goals in all of this? Setting your goals, whether it is making a list like this, whether it is creating a vision board, pulling out some magazines and going back to that old-fashioned pin board. Like, do what it takes for you to set goals. This is not a New Year's thing. This is not a, let's set a resolution and then fail at it. Like, welcome to a process. Like, nothing's ever going to change if we don't engage in a process. And I feel really bad because the world that we live in has convinced us that everything can change overnight and that we can have results in 5 minutes with 10 easy steps. And it's a lie. We've been fed a lie. Really, nothing changes if we don't dedicate ourselves to the process. And the process is like, it's like running a marathon, you know, it's like, it's going to be a long journey. And I feel like that's a hard analogy to use, but anybody that's ran a marathon, I'm sure you know it and you understand it. It's that like mile 5 sometimes is going to be gruesome and mile 17 is going to be gruesome. And I'm really on like a journey to make my health better and put my health in the forefront of everything. And I've been on this journey now for about 5 weeks, which I've always been a pretty healthy person, but 5 weeks is a good amount of time for a habit to be starting. And Lane has walked with me in this. And I remember our first workout, guys. And I felt bad. Like, I'm surprised he did not break up with me after that first workout because I was bawling my eyes out. I was like dry heaving. I cry a lot, but I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this because the first workout is always the hardest, but it gets a little bit easier every single time. And I just remember he looked at me and he said, "You're at mile 1, babe. You are at mile 1. And that made me feel defeated and hopeful at the same time because at least I was past the point of lacing up my shoes, but I was only at mile 1 and it was time to start the journey. And I knew it was going to get easier, but the resistance was strong. And so you guys, some of you in the room are at mile 1 and we got to start going. You laced up your shoes, you showed up here. And so let's charge forward. Next point that I'm going to make, create boundaries. This is so important. I think that there should be a whole craving series on boundaries in itself because boundaries are just such a hard thing to achieve, but boundaries are so important, especially when it comes to the internet, especially when it comes to email. You do not want to be the type of person that is sending emails at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. because you don't sleep at night. And more than that, I mean, like when I used to send emails at 2 a.m., I was like, man, that looks like I really don't respect the person I'm putting that into their inbox. That makes my team think that they should be answering me right back. That makes a client think that I don't have healthy boundaries. And so even if you're sending emails at 2 a.m., utilize the Boomerang app. Download the Boomerang app and you can send those emails at 8 a.m. and everybody can sleep sounder knowing that you're not emailing them at night. I started in the last year of my life putting my boundaries directly in my inbox. And so when you email me and I email back, you see my boundaries right there. It says I check emails between 11 and 6 p.m. It also says when I shut off. It says when I'm plugged in. And I feel like it's important to put boundaries in my email signature. And I can't tell you like the amount of people that have emailed me back and been like, I love the boundaries in your signature. And I'm like, steal it, do it for yourself, create the boundaries, like, and let people know that boundaries are a priority for you. If we don't let people know boundaries are a priority for us, people will trample all over our said boundaries. And so creating boundaries is just so important. The next thing I would say, what do you add? Remembering to serve. So I was like, you know what? We all have full plates. So I'm going to make a little analogy and I'm going to get a little plate. And here's my little plate. And I filled out my plate with what matters to me. I put relationships, faith, career, health, and I put a little extra pocket for love because I found that like love, whether we have it or we're looking for it or we're searching for it, it just takes up a lot of brain energy. And so it's kind of its own pocket. And so this is my little plate that I have, and it's what I try to prioritize: my relationships, my faith, my career, my health, and love. And what I've realized though in this is that like I have to be really careful not to make this plate all about me. It can't all be about me. It can't all be about how I serve myself, how I better myself, how I give myself a pat on the back because I'm doing great things. And so one of the major points that I would ask is, what is it that you add? Like, what do you add to your relationships with other people? We have to remember to be servants in all of this. Like, I think that like servants, like serving people is just like exercise. Like it helps us age better. It makes us happier people. It allows us to exit outside of ourselves. And so remembering to serve people and love people well, because otherwise like we can take advantage of people really easily, especially if we are on this quest for balance. Like some of you will be like, balance, yes. And then it will be like, I don't have time for you to talk to you, boyfriend, and ask you about your questions tonight or your day. Or like, husband, I don't have time to talk to you. I've got to go make a vision board. Like, we have to be really careful that we're learning to serve people as we are on this quest for balance and integrating that into the folds. You know, like when me and Lane sat down and we thought, like, what is it that you add to the relationship? I was like, here's 87 things that you add to the relationship, Lane, and I'm not really sure what I add to the relationship. And that doesn't mean that I don't add things to a relationship. I think that I do, but I realized that Lane was doing a lot more action steps than I was. I'm a good encourager. I'm really good with words and stuff, but like, what was I doing to actually serve him well? And how could I change that and adjust that? Because he was doing so many things to serve me, and I wasn't necessarily taking action steps to serve him. And so I had to be really careful to say, okay, like this is how I serve you in a tangible way. And when I'm here and I'm not traveling, this is how I am here, and I am present, and I am with you, and I am valuing you. And so remembering how we serve people is so essential to this whole piece of the balance puzzle. This is just a kind of a side note, but not really. It's kind of like the biggest point. But we talked about stop sleeping with liars. Let's assess the biggest lie that's out there. You cannot be all the things to all the people. It's like a little tough love. Like, you can't. We want to be everything to everyone. We want to be superheroes. And like superheroes, there's a reason that they're not real, because like you can't do all of that. You cannot be Clark Kent and Superman at the same time. Like, you have to be one person. I think it's Clark Kent. I think that's, and then Tobey Maguire, he's Spider-Man, right? Yeah, I think so. We can't be all the things to everyone. We can't be the best listener and the best talker and the best speaker and the best team builder. And we have to delegate things so other people can be better at them. And we also have to take things off of our plate so that we can really work with what we have instead of spreading ourselves too thin. We have to be really careful about this plate and like what we can fit on the plate. I knew it was a bad idea for me to have a plate metaphor because I was just going to be like, plate things. But yeah, if you have too much on there, things are going to fall to the wayside. Relationships are going to crash. Friendships are going to burn. No one's going to be happy. We'll get wrinkles earlier than we need to. And so we have to be really careful with knowing like you can't be all the things. There's no way that you can be all the things. And so what are the things that you want to be? What do you want to be invested in? Where is your heart? If you follow your heart to where your heart is, you're going to know like what's important to you and what matters. And if all that stuff is ick and you don't really want it, then you got to do some uprooting. You got to do some cultivating. You got to get rid of some of this stuff that does not matter. The junk that you've needed to cut out of your life for a really long time because it is keeping you from living the life that you want to be living. We say we want to cultivate balance. Y'all, if we get down to the root word of cultivate, just a little bit of a lesson, it actually means like to get rid of what is no longer serving something. Like to cultivate a garden means that you are getting rid of the roots because the roots are pulling out all the nutrients from the plants that need them. Some of you in your life have weeds that you've needed to pull for a really long time. And it's the reason why there's no balance is because you are so relentless to hold on to something that is sucking the life out of you. That's just a side note. That was for somebody tonight. I'm not sure who, but we are going to move forward. Little victories and small habits. The only way that the balance journey works is when we know that this is going to be a few small steps. It is going to be mile by mile by mile. It's never an overnight thing. My own journey to find balance wasn't overnight. It was little things, and it was failing in those little things. Like it was like, man, I want to cook. That doesn't mean that I became Julia Childs the next day. Like I failed and I forgot to like add important ingredients because I didn't think I needed recipes. You're not invincible and you need recipes. I added way too much salt to my first batch of mashed potatoes and they were really lumpy and gross. And it was small baby steps, and it was giving myself the grace to embrace those small baby steps and actually delight in them. It was keeping lists of what I like to call little victories. Your little victories are what is working for you? What did you accomplish? What are the things that you managed to do today that helped you achieve that balance? So if you want to work out, like, and you don't work out regularly, like little victories would be like, I got my workout gear ready. Little victories would be, I went for a walk today. Little victories would be, I resisted the Chick-fil-A that was sitting in my office. Little victories would be, I chose juice instead. And like, maybe we're not all looking like Heidi Klum tomorrow, but that's okay. Like even Heidi Klum needs baby steps. And so embracing those baby steps and walking forward in that and writing down your little victories, journal them down, write them down, chronicle them so that you're able to look back and say like, I've come so far. Like maybe I don't feel like anything's moving today and it's a hard day, and Monday is usually a hard day. But like you can go back and you can say, no, that's not true. There's evidence that I've come so much farther. I mean, I record little video messages on my Mac sometimes, and I'll talk to it and be like, woe is me. I just feel so gross today, or I feel like I'm never going to push past this. And then I can go back to it 2 weeks later and be like, whoa, I'm not that struggling mess today. And so documenting your little victories so that you can move forward and that you can show people how it worked for you. Like the only reason that I'm able to do this class is because I've documented my little victories, because I know what works for me now and I'm able to transfer that knowledge to you. It's because I took the time to make a map so that somebody else might be able to follow along on a similar journey. It's not about just living a good story for me. It is about helping people create maps that lead us all into a better life, a life that we actually want to be living. The next point, say no. It is as simple and as hard as that. Say no. You can't say yes to everything. That's the same thing as you can't be all the same things, but it's worth repeating twice. Is that like, if there's something in your inbox and you're a people pleaser and you're like, they want me to write an article? Yes, I will do it. And you email them back and like, yes, I'm going to do it. Yeah, absolutely. When do you need it by? And then of course your inbox becomes this sprawling, chaotic mess. Maybe pull back a little bit. Maybe say, you know what? This is a request. I'm going to take note of this request. I'm going to step back for 24 hours, and then I'm going to get back to them with, is this really realistic? Is this beneficial? Do I need to be doing this? And if the answer is yes, then yes, let's set it up. Let's put it on the calendar and ask that person to give you a deadline. Don't let them say, you know, I need it whenever. Tell them you need a deadline, and let it be a realistic deadline, not just a deadline of like, I need it by tomorrow. That's not realistic. In most cases, it's not realistic. And like, I just learned that if after 24 hours and my emotions have subsided and I still want to do the thing, then maybe I'll do the thing. And I'll ask a friend, should I do the thing? And they're like, yeah, do the thing. And so then I do the thing. But in the heat of the moment where I have this natural people pleaser inside of me, don't say yes to those things. Step back, figure out if it's something you're supposed to say yes to. Ask yourself, is this advancing me towards my goals and helping me become a better person? The answer is no, and it's just a time suck, and it's really not benefiting you at all, and you're just saying yes to prove a point. Maybe say no to that thing. I think that is a good reason why you say no to something. Trashing toxic. This is kind of one of those things where it's like getting rid of the weeds. And I say trashing toxic because I think a lot of people, a lot of us, we're humans, we're people pleasers. We keep people in our lives that don't need to be kept in our lives, and we allow them to speak really toxic lies into our lives. And sometimes you just have to know that it's time to cut a relationship off. If that person isn't building you up, if they're not making you better, if they're not making you stronger, like, that's the time to evaluate that relationship and think to yourself, you know, like, do I need to keep this person in my life? Are they actually adding stress and anxiety in my life? Are they preventing me from having balance? Like, we have to be real with ourselves and what is toxic and what is taking away from our lives. That is so, so vital and so important. Finding a hobby is another part of this, that something you don't get paid to do, something that allows you to be creative, something that makes you a better person. What is it? Is it woodworking? Is it boxing? Is it painting? Is it watching Making a Murderer and being a detective on the side? Just finding something that you truly love, that you just would like to spend time doing. For me, it's literally like reading minimalist blogs. I love minimalist blogs. I love reading them, and it's my hobby. And so getting to do that at the end of a long day is so, it's essential to me. And it doesn't mean I get to do it every single day. I wish that I could, and I wish that I could just get rid of all of the crud in my life. But having that hobby allows me to feel sane. It allows me to feel like, wow, I'm better at this balance thing than I thought. I actually have a hobby. I used to go on dates with people and I really didn't have any hobbies. I just had things that I did to make money. And that's great for being stable, but that doesn't make you an interesting person. That doesn't make for lively conversation. And what was really sad about that is that I had such a great capacity inside of me to have cool hobbies and to do awesome things. And I just wasn't doing it because I thought work was where I needed to focus all of my energies. Finding role models. Find people you admire. Find people that you look up to. Call them. Text them, email them, say, hey, can I ask you a few questions about how you choose to live your life? Interview them just for your own sake, not even for a blog. Just interview them because you want to know about their life and how they work to create balance in it. Balance for me has been learning to say no to a lot of things. It's been putting at the forefront what matters most to me. And to me, that's my faith, that's my relationships, and that's my health. Those are the most important things, which if you'd asked me that several years ago, I would have been like, no way. Career trumps everything. Think about this. If you set goals, setting goals in the area of finances, spirituality, relationships, health, finances, relationships, spirituality, health, and career. Sorry, I got those two mixed up. Career, finances, spirituality, relationships, and health. Which one takes the most precedence for you? Looking at that and saying, which one is the one that I want to invest in the most? And that will show you a lot about what you are currently and who you hope to be. And that doesn't matter. There's no wrong way to list those, but it will show you what matters most to you to keep in the forefront right now, and pay attention to that. I set my goals in those 5 areas, and I set realistic goals, and I set practical, tangible goals with action steps to go with them. But it's funny how in the last few years, my focus has been in spirituality. It's been in relationships way more than it was in finances and career. And for the last years before that, that's where I focused all of my time and energy. And I'm thankful a foundation came from that. But I had to work really extra hard to become this reliable, safe person in relationships, and not just the flighty person that was always looking for the next best career thing. And so finding your role models and asking them how they do it and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And remembering to invest in life and not just your work. I've said that throughout, but it's so important that we invest in life. However boring life might be, however non-romantic life could be, like we have to do the nitty-gritty work of living inside of stories, of being people that just, we don't just talk a good talk and tell a good story, but people that are really invested in the day-to-day walk with other people. So I'm going to do 2 little caveats before we get into the question and answer section, because I know it's 2 sections that you guys really wanted me to focus my time and energy on. And so the first one is health, and then the second one is balance on the internet. So when it comes to the areas of health and putting that first, I always say put it first. It's so important to put it first. It is your body. It is how you walk around this world. It's important that we treat it well. It's going to determine what our energy levels are with people. And so I just think that balance when it comes to health is just so important. And for me, it was what I said earlier. It was finding fitness that I actually enjoyed so that I could start looking forward to it. It was also learning to be realistic with my fitness goals, okay? I'm not gonna be a supermodel tomorrow. I'm not gonna work out 6 times this week, but I can work out twice. I could work out 3 times. I could go to a bar class 4 days this week. That's doable and it's tangible for me. And so it's like down with setting goals that should have been set for somebody else. Like if you're setting the same goal and you're failing every time, there's a reason to step back and realize like, why is that goal not working for me? Like maybe that's not your goal. Like maybe your goal needs to be lessened so that you can actually have a bit of a victory. And that's like a stigma in the world we live in. It's like dream big, yeah, but like also do something once in a while that is attainable. And then you build up and all of a sudden you are living big instead of just dreaming big. Do the attainable things and then stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And one day you will be living a life you never even anticipated. You won't be thinking about it from the couch. You'll just be doing it. The other thing about health is, as I mentioned earlier, like Lane and I reached this point in our relationship where I realized I was like, oh, I don't really know how I'm serving him beyond encouraging him. And I managed to encourage a couple thousand people like throughout a given week. And so I need to be doing something that's different that shows him that he is honored and valued apart from what I do on the internet. And so for me, that came through meal prep. Meal prep is something that I love, that I'm very passionate about. Now, if it's meal prep just for me, I can miss the ball and get tacos all week, and I could do that. And trust me, it will not do good for my wallet, but I am the only one who loses if I don't meal prep on a Sunday. And when I say meal prep, I mean make my lunches and make my snacks for the week, just like elementary school. I use mason jars. Everybody, like I've put it on Instagram and all over the place. Like mason jar lunches are like the greatest gift that God has ever given us. It's like perfect portion control. It goes right into your fridge and you can just bring it wherever you need to. And it's really easy to wash out. And I'm sure there's some health benefit to using glass over plastic. I'm not really sure. I just like the way the mason jar looks. But if I just do this for myself, there are weeks where it doesn't get done. And there are weeks where I'm like, whatever, I traveled, and so it doesn't need to get done. And as a result, at the end of the week, I feel tired and I feel like, oh, I should have done that. I'm telling you, like, meal prep has been the single biggest change in my life of letting me live a more balanced life, is knowing what is going into my stomach throughout a given week. And so I meal prep for Lane now. That's how I serve him. I cook for him, which is crazy because I never thought I would cook for any man. So y'all can give Lane a shout out on Twitter and be like, she's cooking for you. That means she loves you. But it is a way that I can serve him tangibly. It is an action step. And it makes it so that I'm not slacking on my own balance because I'm doing balance for him. Like if I slack, he doesn't get meals for the week and he's now relying on that. I made a promise to him that I would do it. He never came to me and was like, yo, cook for me. But I was like, I'm going to cook for you as a way to serve you, but as a way to keep myself balanced and in check too. I think that being intentional and having somebody to hold you accountable to the life that you want to be living is huge. And it's monumental. And if you prep on a Sunday, if you make a grocery list and then you go to the grocery store and then you spend the next few hours either cooking the meals together or cooking apart. One, it's a stress reliever. And two, you're going to be able to look in your fridge and be like, I have food to eat. I know what I have to eat. So I have no more excuses for not balancing myself out here. And so the last caveat about health right now, apart from food and nutrition, is remembering to turn off and remembering to do yourself the favor of turning off. And that kind of leads into my last part before question and answers, which is balance on the internet and why it's important that we shut off. And we can stay on Twitter all night and we can stay on Instagram all night, but it's really important that we know to shut off our phones. and be present to one another. And the reasons that I think that it's important to learn balance in this area is because we're kind of in this like rampage time right now where everybody's like, social media is ripping us apart, and be real and be unfiltered and disconnect and this and that. And that's all great, guys, but like, social media is not going away. Like, social media is not going to go away tomorrow. It is going to stay and be with us for the long haul. And so we need to be the ones to steward it well so that our children grow up with a good example. We need to be the ones to say, you know what, like, this is how I'm choosing to create margin and balance in my life in the area of social media so that my kids can live a healthy life. Like, we're passing everything on to the generations. And so if we are the ones that are always glued to our phones, but always complaining about how it's disconnecting us, like, that's not being good stewards to the social media presence that we have been given. And so, one, it's good to shut off so that we can be present to everyday life. 2, it's really good to shut off so we can be examples and role models. 3, it is really good to shut off because for some people it is just plain toxic and it's unhealthy. And that comes down to who you're following. And you would think who you're following doesn't really affect your balance, but it does, because balance is not just a physical thing. It is an internal thing. It is a mental thing. And so remembering, like, okay, well, am I following people that build me up, or people that make me feel like I need to constantly be improving, or people that make me feel just like crap at the end of the day? And if those are the people you're following, it might be time to defollow people. It might be time to unfollow me. Like, if I'm making you feel awful about your life, you should unfollow me. I don't think you should follow me if I'm being toxic in your life, and vice versa. And that's really hard to pull the plug on some accounts that we've been following, but like, pay attention to your feelings after you see a post from that person. Are you happy for that person? Are you excited to be able to participate in a glimpse of their lives? Or is it just making you feel small and belittled? Because that's an indicator that like bitterness is taking root in your heart. Ugly feelings are taking root in your heart that you just don't need to be fostering. To be the healthiest person that you want to be, like, pay attention to who you're following. Pay attention to what social media is doing to you for your emotions. Are you on your social media, you're on your stream, and then you're like mad at your boyfriend or you're mad at your husband and you're lashing out at them? That might be a sign or an indicator that social media is not being the healthiest thing in your life for you right now. And I think that that's what we perpetuate in this world. We perpetuate a online platform where I can look at your plate and you can look at my plate. I actually ate something off that plate earlier. And we can compare plates. And that was not the point of social media. The point of social media was that we could collaborate, and I could lighten your load and you could lighten my load, and we could connect with one another, and we could see each other's plates and celebrate each other's plates. But we're not doing a really good job of celebrating each other's plates these days. We see somebody else and we're like, well, their plate's way better than mine. And so, like, I don't want to celebrate them. I'm bitter and I'm jealous and I'm angry that they got what I wanted. And so it's remembering that, like, just because that person has something different on their plate doesn't mean your plate is any less. And it's also remembering that if this person falls and doesn't have a victory and something awful happens to them, your plate doesn't get more full. That doesn't mean that you're more better off, that you're a better person than that person is. And I think that we need to really, like, check our hearts when it comes to online balance and social media, because ugly things take root that we don't even realize are taking root as we are scrolling and we are disgruntled. And so I'm going to get into the question and answer section of the class. I hope that this has been really helpful information for you guys. It seems like a Facebook group has already started, and so be sure to invite me to the Facebook group. But just 3 main points before I get into the question and answer. 1, it's a process. Balance, just like everything else, is a process. And so being dedicated to the process and being stewards to that process. 2, you're not missing pieces. The internet and the magazines and the culture want to tell you that you're missing pieces, and you're not missing pieces, and you're not too far to come back. But you can be missing people if you don't take the time to create this balance in your life. If you're always thinking that you're missing pieces, you as a result will probably miss people instead. And people are one of our greatest callings and greatest reasons for being here. And the 3rd one, celebrating along the way. Celebrate your little victories, pop some champagne, eat a brownie bite, whatever it is, but celebrate with people and celebrate your victories. And if you're in that Facebook group, make sure that you celebrate instead of feeling like somebody managed to get balance better than you. This is not a matter of who can win the race fastest. It's a matter of we're all running the race, and so let's just make it easier for one another. So I just talked a ton. I am going to post the link to the survey here so that you guys can fill it out. If you could just fill it out for me during the question and answer, or right after the question and answer. That's the only thing that I'm asking from you guys, is that you would be able to give me feedback on these kinds of classes and what you like about them and what you would like to see in topics. And I'm just gonna post it right there for you guys, right there. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna do some question and answers, and then we are all going to go to bed and we're gonna get sleep tonight. So one of the questions, what are some practical ways to serve in a relationship? This is an awesome question. Practical ways to serve in a relationship is everything from, I always say action steps are the best way. And so an action step, whether that's writing a letter, or that is cleaning a person's car, or that is helping clean around the house or do the dishes, or whatever it is, find something that you know serves that person directly. Do it so that you don't get a pat on the back, but that like you can get to feel the benefits of just serving to serve. And I just say stick to actions. Actions you cannot go wrong. If you're writing them a sweet note to leave for them, if you're cleaning their bathroom sink, if you are making a meal for them, if you're showing up with a coffee, action steps go the farthest when it comes to relationships, because it makes a person feel known, it makes a person feel seen. Pay attention to what that person loves. Do they love acts of service? Do they love quality time? And serve them in that way. Serve them in tangible ways. What cookbook or recipes do you follow for your meal prep? Okay, I follow skinnytaste.com. That is one of the ones that I love, skinnytaste.com. Cookie and Kate is one of my favorite cooking blogs. Cookie and Kate, it's all vegetarian, so sometimes I just add meat. Sorry, Kate, I love meat. I love bacon. A Couple Cooks. So that one is really great, and it's kind of like one couple that is on a journey to cook beside one another. Love and Lemonade. I think it's Love and Lemonade. I might have messed that up. Let me see. Love and Lemonade. Love and Lemons. Love and Lemons blog. I love that. They have some really good recipes that I actually tried out last week. And I just love ordering cookbooks off of Amazon. I order them for really cheap, the ones with beautiful imagery. I'm willing to try anything that Gwyneth Paltrow has created or put out there in the world, because she's just a role model to me. And so I just love to buy cookbooks that are old and have a cool aesthetic, and that can be a part of my collection. But Skinny Taste, Cookie and Kate, goop.com, goop.com, and A Couple Cooks would be the ones that I would definitely recommend. If you start looking through that stuff on Instagram, that target marketing is going to get to you anyway, and you're going to get all these great accounts that you're going to start following. What are your best time management processes? How do you split up your day so that it's intentionally balanced? In the morning, the first thing that I do before anything else is I give it to God. I don't give it to social media. I don't give it to email. I give it straight to God, and I get my orders for the day. I pray, and I believe that God is going to just set me on the course of what needs to happen for that day. From that point forward, I go into my office and I do my writing for the day, and I am very intentional not to open my email before I have written. Right now I'm in the process of writing a book, and so that has to be at the forefront of what I'm doing. It's just really important that it is. And so for me, that means that I'm not opening up my email until that part of the day is done. And then I can open my email. I can see what requests are there. I answer what I know I can answer immediately, and then I slot out what I need to hold off on. And my second part of the day is kind of broken up into little chunks. So it's broken up by more love letters. It's broken up by speaking engagements. It's broken up by book writing and creative services. And so I just break them up so that like Mondays and Wednesdays, my sole focus is more love letters. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it is creative writing services, and Fridays is for advancement and development and furthering my material and speaking engagements. Now this balance doesn't always work when I'm traveling, but I try my hardest to keep a routine so that I know what I'm walking into the office to do. And it improves as I go. It really does. I have come such a long way from who I was 2 years ago, where I literally would jump at anything that somebody gave me to do. And I was the one that stressed, and I was the one that suffered for that. And then when it comes to the end of the day, I shut off and I don't check my email, and I don't respond to my team late at night unless I'm having a work night, which is now once in a blue moon. And that's just because I want my team to know that balance is important and that it matters. And I want them to have healthy relationships and good meals and good lives. And if I can't steward that and lead in that well, then there's no reason to preach that. I don't want to preach something. I want to do something. Do you have any apps or tools that help with your balance and time management? I am pretty much a standard, I use a planner type girl. This is a planner from One Canoe 2, which I love them. And they just came out with their 2017 planners, and they're super awesome. I recommend them for everything, you know, like they've got the calendar pages. I bought this back in like, I think like December of 2015. And so I never used September. But it's a lot of space. And for me, I'm a good old fashioned planner type person. If I have apps that I actually use, let me see what's even on my phone. I just want to be real with you. I use the Skim app. I use an app called Capital with a Q. If you want to save money, Capital with a Q will help you save money. And then I use the To-Do app every once in a while. And I can't even say that I use that consistently, but To-Do, it's TEUXDEUX. And that is the best To-Do app that I've found. Either that or Remember the Milk. I think it's called Remember the Milk. But that's a really good to-do app for people that need to do a digital to-do list. The only thing that I really keep on my phone that I don't write out is my grocery list, so I can delete it as I go. But I don't really have that many apps beyond putting everything in my life in Evernote. I put receipts in Evernote. I put notes in Evernote. I scan everything, recipes, everything goes into Evernote. So Evernote is always going to be the most reliable way for me to keep everything in one place. Do you have a template you follow or a scheduler? I'm in need of creating that kind of structure in my day and feeling that way now. I actually have like a day sheet that I use to plan out what's going to take priority in my day. I don't know if that would be beneficial to you guys. If you guys want that, I can find a way to get that to you. So let me know if you want that day sheet of how I block out what's most important and how do I serve people in my day. I designed it a while ago because I was having a hard time fitting into the realm of planners, and it's just kind of a day that you use. It's a day sheet that you can print out and write the day on top of it and then just fill it out. So if you want it, you let me know, put it in the comment box, and I will find a way to get that to every person that is involved tonight. Okay, seems everybody wants it. Awesome. Okay, great. So I am gonna focus on that. I'm going to go down here and answer a few more questions. How do you begin chasing the dreams you feel like God has placed in your heart? I think that that's one of those things where it's like when you pray through it and you really feel like, yeah, God has put this on me and I need to do it. You start with one small step. Write down your big goal and then write down all the action steps it is going to take for you to create that. And then place that on the wall so that you can see it every single day, so that you can work towards something. The thing is, you are not going to sit down and write a book tomorrow, but you might write an epilogue. You might make an outline. You might write one chapter, and that's more than you did yesterday. And so I think like knowing what your baby steps are will make it a little bit less intimidating. Like writing a book is intimidating, but writing an overview is totally, completely doable and feasible. And so start there. Start with one small thing. Get a person that you can be accountable to, somebody that's going to hold you to that accountability, and somebody who's really just going to like push you on and cheer for you and spur you on. Like those people should never be undermined for what they add to our lives. Let's see. Let's look at some other questions. Woo! Have you ever tried bullet journaling? I have not, but I would love to, whatever that is. I would love to know what bullet journaling is. For someone that cannot write in the middle of the day, do you have any practical tips? For anybody out there that is looking to write, finding a time of day that works for you is really important, but once you find it, don't mess with it. Don't think, well, okay, I found what works for me, and so now let me go and try 87 things that might also work for me. It's like me in the bar class. I know bar classes work for me, so my goal is to sign up for bar classes, not to do 87 other things that I hope will achieve the same results that bar classes already work for me. It's the same thing. If you know that you write in the morning, then set up morning time to write. And that doesn't mean 5 days a week or 7 days a week. Once a week, twice a week, and set up that time and keep it in your schedule. It's a myth to think that we are going to find time for anything. We will never find time for anything. But if we make time for things and we put it in our planner, we tell somebody, hey, this matters to me. Can you make sure I do this? We are going to be that much closer to getting there. And anybody that wants to dig deeper into the topic of writing and the process of writing, I offer a writing class. It's on hannahbrenchercreative.com in the shop. I offer it 4 times a year, but it's everything that you can imagine about writing, and I would love to see you in that class. How do you know that when it's time to let go of a relationship or keep working at it? Well, this is my love advice for the evening. Do you both want the same things? Do you both have the end goal, the same end goal? Are you, and this is talking like in terms of dating relationships. I don't want to trudge into the topic of marriage because I've never been married. And so I don't want to be speaking things into the world that I don't have any authority to say. But when it comes to relationships and dating, I would say, like, are you guys on the same page? Like, do you want the same things? Are you both committed? Are you both working hard at this? Are you working really hard and that other person isn't? Is that person working really hard and you're not stepping up? I think you guys have to be like equal in a lot of those aspects for a relationship to work. And so I would just say, like, are you both pulling the weight? And is it making you a better person? I have to ask myself that a lot with like friends and relationships and the relationships they're in. Is this relationship making them a better person or a worse person? I look at Lane and I think like he has improved my life by 10,000%. If I was a good person before, like now I'm like a really great person because of what he's taught me. And I know every single day, like, well, he's adding to my life. And so am I adding to his life? And I hope that I am. And I just have to keep moving forward in that. But those are important questions to ask. If you guys are both pushing towards the same end goal, do you want the same things in the end? And I probably could do a whole craving series on relationship and love and have Lane come as a guest maybe. I don't know. If you guys want that, you let me know about that too. But we're going to keep moving along in the questions. A few more questions, and I'm going to let you guys go to sleep. How do you seek balance with your emotions? It's pretty hard. It's pretty non-specific, but it's hard to control your emotions sometimes, and that would really help me with finding balance. I have to say, guys, I have like stopped giving credit to my emotions. I've stopped giving credit to my feelings. You're obligated to feel something, yes, and you should pay attention to your feelings. But like when it comes to the things that really matter, whether that's love or that is writing or that is something you want to go towards, your feelings are always going to tell you something crazy. Most of the time, your feelings are going to tell you something crazy. Love is a choice. Becoming better is a choice. Writing is a choice. Everything comes down to a choice. And so even if it feels painful, and even if you feel like, man, like I can't do this, like your feelings are not as reliable as you think that they are. Like making action steps and knowing the truth behind those action steps is the most reliable thing. And that's why I tell people to write down your action steps, because like that is the greatest way that you are going to achieve balance and keep pushing forward, is if you can see your victories and you can see what is working for you. I had to start discrediting my feelings because I was letting them run me around and I was letting them like make me a sporadic person. And so like I base a lot of my life on truth now as opposed to feelings. And that hasn't been an easy overnight thing, but it's something I work at really hard every single day. So yeah, I think feelings want to stop us from a lot of the directions we're supposed to be moving in. Do you have any recommendations for your favorite books and podcasts? Yeah, I love a lot of books. Let me see what is here that would help apply to this. I love this book by Danielle Laporte, The Fire Starter Sessions. She's super awesome. And It's a really great book about just kicking the fear and gaining wisdom and being a light. So I really love this one, Fire Starter Sessions by Danielle Laporte. I love this book, guys, Make It Happen by Lara Casey. She's a great friend, and this is an awesome book, and I would recommend you ordering it and really digging in, surrendering your fear and taking the leap, living on purpose. This is such a good book. This is such a good resource for anybody who wants to go to the conference or can't go to the conference. Like, this is just one of the greatest things. Scary Close by Don Miller. I love this book. It's a great book on something that might be keeping you from achieving balance. If you are afraid of intimacy in the way that Don Miller was, this book was really paradigm shifting for me and changed a lot of things for me. And then the last book that I will show you right now, actually 2 books, why not? This book is a staple, Boundaries. Get this book, especially if you don't have boundaries, and read it because it's awesome. And then I love this book, especially if you are a faith-driven person, Along Obedience in the Same Direction. It's a book by Eugene Peterson. It is an awesome, awesome book on the process and dedicating yourself to the process and all the different aspects of faith and why faith is not an instant thing, but it's actually a long journey and a beautiful journey. So those are some books that I recommend. Somebody just asked, is it okay to cut family out of our lives? That's not something I'm going to pretend to be an expert on. I know that there can be some really toxic relationships when it comes to family, but I never want to sit here and be like, yeah, get rid of your family. I think that that's something that you do with your close circles. That's something that you really discern and pray about. And that's something that you really kind of have to weigh with the people closest to you in your life. If you're making that big of a decision, that's not something that I want to ever tell you is okay or something you can do. But I don't know everybody's family situations. And I know that sometimes you do have to cut family out of your life and you have to cut toxic people out of your life. But I think it depends on the circumstances and the person, and all of that kind of weighs something as it hangs in the balance. We're going to do 2 more questions, and then we are going to head out for the night. We are going to take a break and go to sleep and have some balance. I'm posting the form again so you guys can see the Google form for me to please, please, please do the survey, just so that we know what you liked and what you didn't like and all that good stuff. Is there a book that you can recommend that has helped you on identifying goals and action steps? Definitely, definitely Make It Happen. This book is so good. So I definitely recommend it. It will help you with goals and it will help you with action steps. And I think I'm in this book. I'm in the book on page 22. I'm in 22. I'm on page 22. Come say hi to me. How to cut toxic people out in general. Guys, Relationships 101, the best way to cut toxic people out of your lives is by either having a conversation with them and having an actual breakup, or choosing to distance yourself. And that doesn't mean ghost a person. I am not an advocate for ghosting people and cutting them out of your lives entirely in that way, unless they're harassing you, and that's a different situation. But don't ignore somebody, but if you need to start to create that distance, then create that distance. But I think sometimes what it comes down to is like a friend breakup, which stinks and it's hard, but like, at least you know where you both stand. And I had to go through one of those, and it was really, really hard for me. But I realized how much toxicity that person was bringing into my life before the friend breakup, and how much happier I felt after the friend breakup. 2 more questions. I'm sorry, I said 2 more like 5 seconds ago, but there's like so many good questions. Tips for college students to start finding balance. Start now. You're in the real world now. Sleep, if you can sleep. Section out times for you to study, times that like a boy can't break, a girl can't break, because that's the thing. You go to classes and then you suddenly realize you have all this extra time, and what do I do with this extra time? Setting up study blocks and not letting anything touch those study blocks is really beneficial way for you to get your work done. Don't be involved in every single club and activity out there. You can't be all the things. Find the things you want to be dedicated to, and don't spread yourself too thin. Be an asset and be a benefit to the organizations that you're a part of. At the end of the day, a resume is going to be an important thing, but it's going to be more important that you were dedicated to a few things rather than dedicated to everything, and you didn't have any time to contribute to any of those things and build them up. Somebody said, what is the favorite song from the story? It is the Jason Mraz song, A Beautiful Mess. I love that song so much. That's my favorite love song. And so you can go listen to it. I could probably play it as I'm walking out of the room and going to bed. One more question, okay? This is going to be the last question. I'm trying to find a great one. How does vulnerability affect boundaries and making them? Any tips for that? Well, it's a good question. Yeah, if we are too vulnerable, it makes it really hard to have boundaries. And so I had to learn the hard lesson that you can't go on a coffee date with every single person in the world. You cannot fix every person in the world. And so the best way to create boundaries is to set expectations from the beginning. And if you didn't do a good job of that, scaling back as you go. But realizing that like we can't have coffee dates with every single person in the world. But there's something really beautiful about the people that we meet 2 and 3 and 4 times for coffee, and we get to be invested in their lives. And so my life has moved from a very big life where I thought that I could talk to every person on the phone and I could give everybody my phone number, to a life that is much smaller and a lot more meaningful. And it means that I don't get to talk to as many people, but I'm really invested in the conversations that I'm a part of. And that means the world to me. And I am a million times happier because of that. So advice for new graduates, start building the life that you want to build. The world is yours. It really is. And people are going to tell you there's never going to be a great time such as college. Like college is the best 4 years of your life. And that's not true. College might build up to the best years of your life, but those are not the best 4 years of your life if you do it right. And so be excited about this time. Be excited about this new adventure and this new freedom, and just start picking hobbies and picking communities you want to be a part of and building the life that you want to live inside of. So I think that is our time slot right there, 20 minutes of question and answers. Please, guys, it seems that there is a Facebook group circulating, and so join onto that Facebook group if you want. I'll be in that Facebook group, I guess. I hope I get invited to the party. And I would love to be answering your emails. Once again, I'm just going to put the survey out there for you guys. If you could please just fill out the survey, it would mean so much to me. It's really quick. It's really simple, but we just want to make sure that we're giving you content that you love, that you enjoy, that makes you feel valued and known and seen. And just thank you guys so much for being here for this first workshop. You guys will be getting the replay of this. It's going to get emailed to you. And so if you didn't get to come live, or if you want to watch it again, it will be all there for you. And I will get to work on getting the resources that you guys need and want to flesh this thing out fully. And so there's my survey, and I love you guys, and you're awesome, and I can't wait to dig through the tweets, and just I hope you have a really great night. I hope you get some rest, and I hope that you feel loved. And my prayer for you is that you would be real with people, and you would be balanced, and you would be living inside of a life that you truly want. In the words of Sia, I want my life so bad, I'm doing everything I can. And I pray that you guys step inside of a life that you want to live, and a life that makes you feel brave, and it makes you feel free, and it makes you feel on fire for what's to come. And so I will talk to you guys later, and I'm just so thankful that you came out tonight. And so see you guys later. Bye.